everyone. My name is Terry. Can you hear me?
Right
into it. Oh, exactly. What about now? Do I need to hold it up? I'm glad that I went right after this video. Very beautifully said. I could talk to you about all the ways I felt stigma toward myself in my own experience, but I think everybody else has done a really beautiful job of that already and will continue to. I'll tell a little bit about myself. I am a person in recovery, and I'm also a service provider in this field. So although I've spoken a lot in a very different context and told my story many times, it's my first time to do it in an event like this. So thank you to the committee for putting this on, and thanks Julie for asking me. I had no idea what I was going to be talking about today other than stigma. It's such a big topic. So I was thinking last night, like, what am I going to share about that's actually going to have any kind of effect, although what everybody else has shared so far has been amazing. I had a lot of thoughts, and there's just so many things I could share about stigma outside of our community, but I think that one of the most important things that I've been thinking about a lot lately and talking to a lot of different people about has been the stigma that goes on within our own communities. So within recovery communities, within people who are well, within people who are, maybe practicing treatment modalities of one kind. Stigma within those communities isn't talked about as much. And to me, it's one of the most harmful things that stigma can do because it separates us in our experiences. So although we share an experience of having lived with addiction or substance use or mental health, we're divided by the ways in which we get well. So I'll try to explain this as best as I can in my experience. I've seen it and the pain that it causes. So although today, for example, I've chosen a recovery path that's, for me, is what's best, I live a life of abstinence and have been clean and sober for 7.5 years. It was not always the case. And it's important for me to remember that and to talk about it. Because the truth is there was a long road prior that I definitely needed to take that landed me to where I am right now. And although I choose to be abstinent today, not everybody necessarily needs or wants that, and that's okay too. That's just a different path. It's really, really important for us to remember that. But along my journey before sobriety, I experienced a lot of stigma from sober people, which was interesting. Not everybody, there are some though. And I think that, again, like what Catherine shared was really important. It's not that people are bad, it's that they may not understand exactly, or they think because something worked for them, it's the only way. And, everybody's different and there's not one size fits all. Things would be a lot easier if it was. So it's important for us not to separate ourselves and who the hell cares? Who cares how you get to your goal? However it works. I chose a lot of different things along the way. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. I collected tools along the way and eventually found my path, but every step was important along the journey. And what I noticed is that we need to stop shooting our wounded. So when people come and they've relapsed or something's not working for them anymore, instead of, lecturing about or judging, even if you don't know you're doing it, we need to see how we can just be there for each other and step up and support each other, even if our paths are completely different. So, it's been my experience that it's an illness. Addiction and mental health is an illness of extreme isolation. It's fatal, we know that. It's very insidious. It has presented its way into my life in many different forms, different mental health. And just, the point is that we treat it the way that works best for us. And we simply just don't have the luxury to put energy into separating our experiences. I know I've repeated myself many times, but I feel really passionate about that. And we need each other the most. And that goes for people, the thing is, it's not just people that experience addiction, but we're all affected. And if you're in this field or you're in this community, you know that. You know, I have had family members with addiction, many. So before my own addiction, I experienced theirs or friends. Everybody knows somebody. So although we think like addiction might look a certain way, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
So my particular call to action is not for anybody else to do, because everybody has a right to their own privacy and confidentiality. But what I have decided when I got well is that I owe it, you know, I'm really grateful because not everybody gets to get well. And a lot of people die, and I've gone to a lot of funerals. And it's been my responsibility, I feel. And this doesn't mean that you need to go and talk about your addiction, but being transparent about my experience to normalize what an addict might look like.
Yeah.
So although I can really resonate with what the folks in the video were talking about, like being followed around stores, being discriminated, I didn't look the way I look today when I was actively using. And I lived a very different life. And people look at me today and might say, you don't look like you used to do A, B, and C. But I'm still a person who is in recovery from substance use. And I'm still working on my recovery. And we all come in different shapes and sizes. So I'm an open book. I know I didn't share too much of my story, but you're welcome to ask me about it if you want to later. But that's been my big thing, is always being open about it and sharing. And I have no shame about that, because I'm proud of what I've done. And it takes a lot of courage to get the help that you need to recover. There shouldn't be shame in it. I know there's a lot of stigma in it, and people do feel a lot of shame, but we need to just put the shame where it belongs. It's not on us, because it takes a lot of courage. So if you have experienced anything that's been difficult and needed to ask for help, you should be very proud of yourself.
Here, here.